Good morning, traders. I'm Dennis Dick, and this is Pre-Market Info. I'll be flying solo today. Joel's taking a long weekend here. On today's show, volatility continues to be muted in the S&P and the overall market. Stocks like Apple having very, very tight ranges. We've got disappointing earnings again from Penney. UBNT also disappoints, where we've got Nordstrom and FIO and NVDA all beating. Research in motion is getting a little lift here this morning. IBM might be sniffing around and looking at acquiring their enterprise services business. And Yahoo down again. Let's look at the overall market here. We are just winding up. We were talking about it yesterday. This muted activity in the overall market continues to be muted here. Market is actually trading down about 5 points this morning, but look how tight the ranges are here. We'll just take a look here just from the last 5 days. Every time the market gets down to this 1387, 1390 area, it seems to lift up, and we have multiple tops up here in the 1403 area. So that's your channel. That looks like your trading channel here. As the market is down here at 1395, now we're kind of stuck in the middle. So I tend to think that we will find buyers again if we get into the low 1390s and that whole 1387 area. And if we probably get up to that 1403 area, we'll probably find sellers again. This has been the quietest week we have seen in the overall market in a long, long time. Check out Apple's chart. This is crazy consolidation that we are seeing, especially in the last 3 or 4 days. 617 to 624 has really been the range, but yesterday it even got tighter. The stock was trading down just below 618 and just under 621. So you're talking a 3 or 4 point range for Apple. That is insane because Apple often has 10 or 15 point ranges. So we are really, really winding up here. Even stocks like General Electric, they're always a little bit less volatile, but still very, very tight. You can really appreciate when you look at the overall daily charts on these things. Like look at Apple, where we've had this huge run up here and we're just sitting here and consolidating. Are we consolidating for another move up? Maybe. But it's hard to say. I think you just got to keep playing the range until that trade doesn't work anymore. We were saying that on the show yesterday, and it continues to work. If you're a buyer in the low on the Apple in the low 617 or a seller in the 624 area, it has been working. We're right there at 618 right now. Eventually, the stock is going to break out or break down. So once it does that, make sure you have tight stops because it could have a serious move, especially even the overall market. Keep an eye on that because if we eventually do break out of this tight trading range, we could see a serious move. Penney reported earnings here this morning. Not good again. Stock is trading down significantly. They were already lowered estimates. The estimates by the analysts were to lose 25 cents. On an adjusted basis, they actually lost 37 cents, so they miss again. Their total sales were down. The same store sales were down. Everything seems to just be going wrong for Penney. I'd keep an eye on this 1906 low that we set right back on July the 18th. We haven't traded down quite that far, but it's at 2033, so it seems to be finding a little bit of buyers in the big $20 psychological area. But it has traded below there this morning, so trading as low as 1950. So I don't know if I'd put a lot of value in that $20 area or not. Maybe it gets a lift off there or a bounce off there right off the hop. But a lot of bad news has been coming out of this stock, especially you go out and look at the weeklies. Here we were back near the beginning of the year. You were trading up at $42. The stock's been cut in half in the last 6 months, and it just doesn't look like, I just don't see what's going to turn this company around. So scary to be an investor here. If you want to try to pick bottoms, definitely keep an eye on that low in 1906. Other companies we've got reporting here, NVDA actually beat. They are trading higher here on their earnings. They've 19 cents versus 14 cents estimates, and they raised revenue guidance. So it's up about 4.5% here this morning, trading at 1537. Interesting enough, if we go back, and we always talk about these old highs and old lows and looking for these areas of where the stock might be heading, If you look here, we've got from March 30th and April the 3rd, we've got some multiple highs here at 1545, 1549, 1548. I'll call that whole area 1550. That seems to be the area of where it may head and may test that area as it's trading there right now, and it is stalling here in this whole 1537 to 1550 area. So keep an eye on that. We go out a little bit farther on the charts. If we start to get above there, then you could actually see, a little bit of a breakout. There's a little bit of air above that, but that definitely that 1550 area could stall the rally right off the hop. Nordstrom also reported earnings, JWN. They actually were pretty good. They beat and they raised guidance. So the stock is trading up very, very light volume though. So we always keep in mind, I only traded 400 shares here this morning. And always keep in mind when the volume is light, that move just might not be as sustainable as if the volume was really heavy. Stock, I would keep an eye on yesterday's high of 55.84, but if we start to really break out and go higher, you've got this high back on May the 2nd at 57.26. That's where the stock could really thicken up. But this is one of those, again, it's hard to say. You're an hour before the open here yet. It's really hard to say whether this is going to hold up or whether it, with only 400 shares trading, whether it could give some back. If it does go into sell-off mode, yesterday's low of 54.02 should provide you a decent bounce area. We've got FIO, which looks like it's going to be your big mover of the day here. They reported, they raised guidance, they did everything right here, and the stock is taking off. It had a lot of consolidation here in the upper 22s, a couple highs there from even the past couple of days. We are blowing through all of that, rallying all the way back up. You can see back in early May when we sold off quickly from 26 to 22, we are filling this whole area very quickly here this morning as the stock has rallied up to 26.15. So as where it's trading at right now. So stock is up significantly here in the pre-market. This is a little tricky. You do have some bottoms here, that old support levels in the 26 area. So if you played that there, you could say maybe you have some resistance there, but there's no real major tops or anything like that until you get up to 28. There's a lot of air between 26 and 28, so maybe 26 stalls it, but if it starts to get above there, it actually could continue to run. But it's hard to say when a stock's up 5 points. Almost 20 or over 20% here. It's really hard to say it's going to move up another 2 points, and it is on heavier volume, 191,000. So this move could be sustainable, but this is a scary one because the 26, I just think it's kind of still in the middle of nowhere here. Up at 28 looks a lot more attractive from a short side. Obviously, if it starts to pull back, it's just a lot of air below. So a little bit of a scary trade for you traders there. Looks like your disaster stock of the day is going to be UBNT, which is actually trading down 38% right now. It's trading down at $9.21. They actually beat by a penny, 30 cents versus 29, but they lowered their guidance, and it's on counterfeit products. That does not sound good. And all your analysts don't think it sounds good either, because Deutsche Bank, Capstone, UBS, and Wedbush are all downgrading the stock here today, and it is getting murdered because of it. Interesting enough, look where it's trading, $9.30. If you go back to this low, and we always point these out, these lows and highs, they seem to work. July 26, $9.37 was the low. So that's your low of the whole move here. If it obviously is to take that out, then all bets are off. But it is trying to find a little bit of support here at this old low of $9.37. But when I'm hearing counterfeit products and lowered guidance and all these downgrades, kind of scary to pick a bottom on this one as well. If it does go into rally mode, you got to think that $10 psychological area might provide you some resistance. One getting a pop here, one of her dogs, Research in Motion, finally getting a little bit of a lift and some relief for shareholders. This stock actually has rounded nicely in this whole 650 area. It's kind of formed a bottom here. Been drifting higher, especially the last couple of days, so I don't know if anybody got a note on this one, but IBM is apparently interested in their enterprise services business. So that's just a rumor right now, but that is why the stock is lifting here in the pre-market. It's up over 7% at $8.35. We obviously had the gap down day back on earnings when we gapped down from 887 down to 698 that day, and lower actually. It went as low as 734. So there's a little bit of error between 8 and 887. You are trading in that error right now here at 835. So it wouldn't surprise me if it can fill that area or fill that gap very quickly up to that 887 area. But this is also one, seems like whenever these stocks pop on rumors like this of, acquisitions or selling some portion of the company, sellers come in and then they beat it back down. So I don't know if I would be a buyer up here, but just be aware if you're shorting it, it has the potential to probably go back up to that 80, 87 area because there isn't a lot of reference points in this area. We do have a few other ones here to talk about. I just wanted to highlight some of your Big Ten actually. ExxonMobil here actually made a double top here again in this 88.50 area. We had actually talked about it on the show yesterday, saying that there was a huge institutional seller at 88.50. He's still alive and well. The high frequency traders are still sniffing and trading and stepping in front of him, and that's why you see a top out yesterday at 88.48. I wouldn't be surprised those high frequency guys are there again. So if this goes into rally mode, this whole 88.40, just like we said yesterday, I could replay the tape, 88.40 to 88.49 is going to provide you some significant resistance, high frequency resistance, in the early going. If it can take out 88.50, then your next bogey is 89. So it's just playing these 50-cent level increments, especially when the hot stocks are making new 52-week highs like ExxonMobil. The 50-cent increments work well because institutions that just have GTC, which are good till canceled orders out there, those just stay on the books until they're executed, sometimes for months or even years if the institutions want to sell those. And as the stock approaches new 52-week highs, it often runs into some of those orders at the half numbers or the whole numbers. And that's what we're seeing in ExxonMobil. Hasn't been up to this 88.50 area besides the last couple of days in a long time. So 88.50 has some big institutional selling pressure, and the high frequency traders are right in front in the 88.40s. So I'd look for the initial high frequency resistance in the 88.40s. Now we are down 6 points on the day, so it's a good likelihood that ExxonMobil is going to open down. If it does, and you're looking to pick a bottom here, this 87.50 area might provide you some support on this one. One I just missed actually was Yahoo. Yahoo is actually trading down here again. Yahoo down over 4%, down 68 cents at 15.33 right now. CEO coming out saying that they may keep the cash from their Alibaba transaction. They had previously said that they might pay that entire Alibaba transaction, the cash generated from that, out to shareholders. Now they're saying they might keep it, so I don't think shareholders like that very much, and the stock is selling down to 15.33. Interesting though, this stock has really consolidated in the last while too, but we had multiple bottoms in this 15.25 area. If we go back to the week of June 11th to June the 15th, we bottomed out here 4 or 5 times. We did cut through and got down to as low as 15.19, but this whole 15.19 to 15.25 area, it looks like it could provide you some decent support, and especially since we actually bottomed at July 24th at 15.23. So I would call this whole 15.25 area pretty major support. I've just drawn it on for you. Interesting enough, we're trading 15.30 right now, so this is one of those nice setups where a stock is actually opening right into support. If it takes that out, obviously this whole 15, I would say give yourself that low of that 15.19, starts to take that out, then it probably could retest and get as low as this 14.80 area where we had multiple bottoms before too. So a little bit of air below this, but off the hop maybe it catches a bid here and gets a little bounce. So keep that in mind. We take that out, then I would look back to this 14.80 area as your next level of support. It's all about levels, folks, and if you keep an eye on those levels, you'll actually have a lot more success in your trading. And speaking of levels, we've given you a few on the S&P. We've given you a few. We are just tightening up here on so many stocks. Like we said, I've drawn on the S&P chart here, the support area, which is 1387, and obviously our resistance area has been up there at 1403. It's just tight ranges here, and keep playing the tight ranges until they don't work. That's our show for today, folks. A little short here today. We're coming into the end of earnings seasons. We do obviously have some mid caps that are reporting, but no real guns here. We've got a lot of mid caps reporting again on Monday, but not a lot of guns. So anyways, have a good trading day. Keep in mind all those levels I just talked about, and we'll be back with you on Monday morning. Have a good weekend.